Hello everyone and welcome back to the Warlock of Firetop Mountain. When we last left off, Portcullis just closed off the way back behind us, so there is nowhere left to go but forwards. And with that, I believe we have just entered the infamous or scary maze of Zagor. Now, this is supposedly a convoluted mess of passageways, and we will try to navigate them to the best of our abilities. But one thing that I want to mention before we do that is that we are not going to check any walls for secret passages, because I don't trust this place and we might trigger a trap or cause some unwanted accidents. So instead we will just try to find our way out of this. So we press on. We are in an east-west corridor. If we go east, we will turn a corner northwards. Now, we don't have much to go on, but we do have a very basic map of this place. And that told us that there was something at the very east of this, very eastern edge or part of this maze. So let's try to first find out what that is. Let's see if it's any use for us. So first of all, we'll go eastwards and continue northwards. We are now at the south end of a north-south corridor. Looking northwards, we can see a passage coming off from the east wall. Okay, excellent. Then we are going to enter this passage. Hopefully this is where we're supposed to go. We are now standing at a T-junction, where a passage to the east comes off a north-south corridor. Okay, so now we will enter this passage finally. We are now standing in the middle of an east-west corridor. To the east is a dead end, to the west a familiar junction where we just came from, and another passageway, quite a short one, leads off to the north and ends in a large wooden door. Excellent. Let's see where that door leads. It must lead somewhere. Hopefully it's not a trap. The door opens and we find ourselves in a small smoke-filled room. Sitting in the room around a wooden table are 4 tiny men, each about 1 meter tall, but all are apparently fully mature, with weathered skin and long bushy beards. They are cursing, laughing and joking as they play a card game. Each one is leaning back on his tiny chair, puffing a long clay pipe. On the table are a number of copper coins and 4 mugs of ale. As we walk in, their merriment stops. They are on their guard, but don't appear to be too dangerous. One stands up and makes some comment about our lack of manners, not knocking before we came in. The others nod in agreement. Okay, so these are dwarfs. Not sure if they are in league with the Warlock, but they're definitely not dangerous fighters or warriors. Probably they maintain the labyrinth. So I don't think we should be hostile to them. So what kind of options we have? We could attack them, that we are not going to do that. We could apologize, bow and leave. Not going to do that either. We could offer to join in their game or chat to them and try to befriend them. Well, I don't know what we could obtain by joining them in their card game, but we might learn a thing or two about this maze if we chat to them, if they are friendly enough and reciprocative to our efforts. So let's see if that works out. We chat about various things and they seem eager to be friendly. They feel lonely in the dungeon with so much evil about, and are happy to speak to visitors of a lawful disposition. They tell us that we are in the maze of Zagor. Well, we guessed that, but now we know it for certain. The only way out is to go deeper into the dungeon. They tell us that the way through the maze is to leave the room, turn right, right, left, keep going straight, and then they begin to get a bit vague. They are not entirely sure it is correct. Eventually, we thank them and leave the room. Now, if I understand this right, then they want us to go to the north, because if we leave the room, turn right and right, then we are going northwards. Then by going left, we end up somewhere along the northwestern part of the maze. And if you recall, we have been told that, or well, not told, but we found the map which stated that there was something dangerous there. So they might try to trick us into a trap, or, well, they might think that the exit is actually there. In any case, we are going to follow their advice, because we want to see what that dangerous room holds. I'm not afraid of any kind of trap or any creature put against us, because we have excellent stats and we are ready for a fight. So, although I don't believe these dwarfs, but we are still going to follow their advice and go first out of this corridor back to the west. We have been here already. Now we go to the north. We are now standing at a bend in the passage where we can go either west or south. Okay, so we are probably at the northeastern corner of this maze. Let's go west. Now we are standing at a crossroads. To the west, the passageway goes on a few meters and turns northwards. To the north, the passageway ends at a door. To the east, the passage continues and eventually turns southwards. That's where we came from. Looking south, the passage goes on as far as we can see. Okay, so we found another door, and in quite quick succession, let's investigate this one. We are now standing outside the door at the north end of this north-south passage. Let's enter. We have just entered a large square room. Broken pottery lies scattered all about. One large clay vase is untouched and is full of clear liquid. A large bowl is full of gold pieces. As we enter the room, the door slams behind us, and we swing round to face a strange-looking creature, half man, half bull, who is glaring at us. He's a minotaur, and he stalks towards us. He lowers his head, horns pointing at our chest, and charges. Okay. This guy looks like the creature responsible for taking care of unwanted visitors around here, and he's clearly standing between us and the only exit out of this room, the only door. So we have no other option to fight, but I believe that this will be the last fight that he'll ever take in his miserable existence. Yep, with a skill level of 9, he's even weaker than the Iron Cyclops was way back, and we are far, far stronger than we were, so he's toast. Even though he lands the first shot, first blow, he still stands no chance, in my opinion. We are also going to employ our luck. Our first roll is guaranteed to hit. We will use our luck again. Now he's down to just 1 hit point. Let's see if we kill it. And we do. Excellent. We lost 2 stamina points, which is nothing to worry about. Now let's check what he was guarding. We sort through the broken pots and find little of interest. The liquid looks, smells, and tastes like water. The coins in the pot are a fraud. 8 genuine gold pieces lie on the surface of the pile, which we take. Underneath are merely painted pieces of pot. As we tip the vase out, it slips and breaks. A red-colored key appears, hidden inside a false bottom in the bowl. We take this key. It is inscribed with the number 111. We gain 2 luck points for defeating the Minotaur, exactly the 2 luck points we have used up. We leave the room and continue our quest. Excellent, we have found another key, this time a red key with the number 111. I wonder if they'll be good for anything. We have also found some gold pieces, and I guess the water was just for the creature to drink. Okay, now we are back at that passage leading to this door. I wonder what happens if we enter the door again. We have already been in this room on this adventure and slain the Minotaur, so there is nothing else for us here, right? Okay, nowhere else to go but to the south. Now we are back at that crossroads, and there are quite a few options we can go to, so further to the northwest or to the south, and we came from the east, so that's already scratched off the list. And I'm thinking that we have now already visited the eastern part and the northern part of this maze, so let's go to the southwest. We entered probably around the southern part, but this seems to be the largest area that we have not yet explored, so let's go to the south. We follow a long narrow passageway which goes south, then east, then south again, until we eventually find ourselves at a crossroads. Okay? Now we are at this crossroads. Let's go south once again. We set off south along a cobbled passageway. It swings west, then south, then west again, until we find ourselves in a 3-way junction. Okay? Now we have just come somewhere far to the southwest, so let's see what and we haven't found anything in the meanwhile in this path at all. No traps, no creatures, no treasure, no nothing. So we cannot go any further south, so we could go west. Well, I don't want to go back east, that's where we came from, or we could turn north here. Let's see where that is. So we are a bit more in a westwardly direction from the passage we just took. We set off and find ourselves in the middle of a north-south passageway. There is a door in the western wall of the passage. Opposite the door is a passage coming off eastwards. To the north, we can see a door some meters ahead. To the south, we can see a junction. Which will we choose? Well, this looks interesting, at least, some doors. There is one in the west and one in the north. Let's try the northern door for the fun of it. Now we're in the north-south corridor and we can go through and enter this large wooden door. Let's do just that. We enter a large square room. In the center of the room is a gray-haired old man sitting at desk. His desk is covered in papers and parchments of various sorts, and he holds a long quill pen. He is surrounded by books. Thousands of them line the shelves around the walls from floor to ceiling. As we enter, he looks up at us and does not recognize us because we have never met this guy before. The old man glares at us as we enter the room. We may either apologize, explain that we lost our way, and leave through one of the doors. There is one door in the western wall and the south wall that we just came through. Or we could try to talk to the old man, which sounds like a much better idea. We could try to be pleasant or demanding, and he is glaring at us even though we just defeated a Minotaur. probably the most dangerous creature in this labyrinth, judging from the fact um, that his lair was marked as a dangerous spot on the map. So I think his ill manner is misplaced, and we should try to teach him a lesson. So we will demand that he answers our questions. He shrieks and hides behind his desk. Well done. He is terrified of our aggressive manner. His squeaky little voice explains that he is the maze master, in charge of the maze of Zagor. We talk to him and reassure him that we mean no harm, and he eventually comes out from behind the desk. A coward. He sits down, and as his confidence returns, a strange thing happens. His manner becomes firm and self-assured. He refers to a book, points his finger, and the book slips from the shelf and floats on to the desk in front of him. We deduce that he is a wizard of some power, perhaps even the dungeon master himself, come to investigate us. We ask him the way out of the maze. He tells us to leave by the south door, walk past the door on our right, so the one that is on the west wall, until we can go no further, then left. Go over a crossroads and turn left as the next one. Okay, now, if we do that, we are going to end up back at the room of the Minotaur. So probably he doesn't know that the Minotaur is dead yet and wants to trick us into the trap. I'm not sure the dwarfs were doing it intentionally, but this guy is definitely doing it. So I'm not going to trust him. So instead we are going to just leave where we came from and try to find our own way through. Now what happens if we return and this time he will recognize us, right? Yep, we have been in this room before. You again, says the maze master, obviously annoyed at being disturbed. You are disturbing my concentration. Be off with you. We begin to explain that we only returned by mistake, which is not entirely true, but as we open our mouth, an icy glare from the old man silences us. We decide to leave him to it. I don't know why we don't just make short work of him, but whatever. Let's go back to the last junction we were at. I don't trust this door in the west. So the guy told us to keep on going southwards. Basically, he told us to go back to the lair of the Minotaur. We are not going to do that, and so the only options we have right here are either the door in the west wall, or to turn east towards here. And since this place does not seem to be connected to that north-south passageway that connects the Minotaur's lair to this room, let's try to see where this eastwards route means. Probably it's a dead end, but whatever. The passageway runs east for several meters and then runs north. We walk a long way northwards. Okay, so this is a route that is parallel to that one that we just took before we arrived at the Maze Master. Great. Let's proceed northwards. We arrive at a crossroads. Alright. This looks interesting. I thought that we were at the westernmost place of part of this this labyrinth, but that's clearly not the case, so let's go to the west, see what happens there. We travel westwards for several paces, then the passage turns to the north. Okay, some way up we reach a junction. To the north the passage ends shortly at a dead end. Okay, so we don't want to explore the dead end, and we don't want to turn back either, so the only way left to go on this passage is to proceed in westwards. We are now in an east-west corridor with a T-junction at both ends. So okay, so we are in the middle of a passage. Let's continue westwards. We arrive at that T-junction, at the three-way junction. Let's not return, let's not go to the east. Instead, let's go to the south. What happens there? Okay, we are now in a north-south corridor which ends in a dead end. We look around the rock face for signs of anything interesting when suddenly a rock breaks loose above us and lands on our head. I'm pretty sure that was a trap. Although the blow was not particularly hard, we find we are feeling dizzy. We fight to remain conscious but are unable to do so. We slump to the ground. When we open our eyes, we are at a junction. Okay, we have been here. This is just west of the dwarfs, so let's return to where we just were, right? West. Now we go south, south again, and if we go south and north, now we are just south of the Maze Master once again. That's right. And that path that we just took looked promising, so let's keep on going. We have been here already. Right, now we are back at the three-way junction, just before we lost our conscience. Let's go north this time. We walk up a long corridor, round a sharp hairpin bend at the top, and finally along an east-west corridor eastwards to a crossroads. Okay, we are now at a crossroads. Okay, well, no indication where to go to, so let's select the first option. Let's go northwards. What happens? The passageway ahead runs northwards for some time. We continue along the passageway. Alright, looks like we have found something. What is it? The passageway bends to the west and begins to get quite narrow. We reach a small rocky arc which we will have to stoop to get through. On the other side of the arch, we pause and look around. We are now in a large cavern which disappears into distant blackness. The cavern is partially lit by natural light which streams in through a hole in the roof. We cannot see a way through. As we shine our lantern around the cavern, we hear a rumble. A dull glow flickers in the blackness. Suddenly, a jet of fire shoots from the depths of the cavern, narrowly missing us and singeing the mossy growths on the wall. We throw ourselves onto the ground and look up to see a large dragon stalking out of the darkness towards us. Smoke curls from its nostrils. Its scaly red skin glistens with an oily covering. This beast is some 15 meters long, and judging by this description, he is also extremely high. Alright, this must be some kind of pet guardian, but before we deal with it, I just want to say that we have successfully navigated the infamous Maze of Zagor, which is a great achievement in and of itself. So if we had the time, we would probably deserve a good pat in the back, but I don't want to let the dragon do that. Instead, let's take care of it before it manages to attack us again and hit us this time with its flame. Now, we could attack it outright, but if you recall, back at the beginning of our adventure, we picked up a spell specifically designed to fight dragons with, so let's see if it works. Does the name Farigo di Maggio mean anything to us? Well, of course it does. He was the guy who created the spell and wrote that book. We remember Di Maggio's small leather-bound book and silently mouth the spell contained within its pages. We shout loudly at the dragon, and it stops in its tracks. It cocks its head to one side and eyes us suspiciously. We fling a stone at its head, and the rock bounces off its nose. The beast lets out an angry cry and breathes deeply, a roaring sound emerging from within its throat. The dragon exhales, and from between its teeth we can see another fireball building up. Great. This is precisely what we wanted. If you recall, the book told us to use the spell when the dragon is breathing its fire at us, so we have successfully tricked it into attacking us again. We prepare ourselves, and as the ball of flames comes from its mouth, we cry, Ikil Irif, Ikem Irif, Irif Irif, Dimaggio. The fireball continues no further. With an agonized scream, the dragon tries to shake the flames from its snout. But there, the burning continues. Squealing in agony, the dragon turns its back and leaps into the blackness, flailing its head from side to side. We have defeated the dragon. We receive 3 luck points. Safe for the moment, we investigate the cavern and find the passageway which continues to the west. Okay, so that's amazing. We managed to put that spell to good use and managed to avoid the battle with the dragon. Both are extremely good news, and I don't think we even killed it, by the way. It just ran away in agony. We could continue, but I feel that we are very close to our target, very close to facing, or not facing, but assassinating, hopefully, the master of this dungeon, the Warlock Zagor. So I think it's a great time to catch our breath after all this walking, all these troubles, falling unconscious, and well, defeating the dragon, and yeah, and just prepare for the final battle ahead. So I'm going to make the cut of the video right here. I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time when we finish the Warlock of Firetop Mountain. Bye bye.